think this is really important to talk about. And what I usually say, this is not me saying we're not going to talk about it, but with some of it, I say, that's not a vegan problem. It's a nutrition knowledge problem, you know? So when people say, oh, what about all the processed food? I'm like, again, it's a process, let's talk about it, but it's a processed food problem. It's not a vegan problem. So many people, and you'll know this from going through a journey and also actually having to acquire information and apply it to your life in a way that works. We're not taught this in school. You know, we're not, and it doesn't matter whether someone's vegan or not, we're not taught it in school. And eating more whole foods, more healthy foods, less processed foods, you know, you can know about that whether you're vegan or not, you know. And the thing is we live in this world that makes us turn to convenience, you know. And yes, because something is vegan doesn't automatically make it healthy. And I help, you know, my clients are a mix of people who've been vegan for years and people who are never ever going to go vegan, but they're like, Vanessa, help me with my health, help me eat this amazing food, help me eat, you know, more whole foods and plants, help me with my health issues, and I still want to have some meat. No worries, let's crack on. So in that sense, that's why sometimes I sometimes get a bit like, do I call myself a health coach or a plant-based health coach? Because I am a health coach, but then I've got this specialism in plant-based. But, you know, in the end, we can apply it to all of our lives, getting this food in. And I think some of those people that you're talking about, they don't understand whole foods. They don't understand, despite being vegan, actually putting vegetables on their plate. You know, which sounds like crazy, because there's also this misconception, oh, vegans just eat carrots. I'm like, some of them need to eat more carrots.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a huge knowledge problem. And, you know, I do talks at, you know, like to completely vegan audiences, and then I do some to completely non-vegan ones. And a lot of what I talk about is very similar, you know, because they all need to understand, well, how do we balance the plate better? How do we get more of these foods in? What does a whole food actually look like? How do I recognize by looking on a packet that this is more processed? I need to eat it. It doesn't mean don't eat it. Eat in moderation. So those things are all really important. And that's why you sometimes get this, you know, vegans who don't understand health, because they're just people in the end. They're just people who are not understanding health.
Yeah. Yeah. There's another, I guess, and this might not be a misconception, but another area that I think has caused a lot of debate. And that's the whole thing about protein.
Yeah.
And getting enough protein. And, you know, I'm someone that's coming as a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I do eat a lot of protein. And I've heard mixed things on how much protein we need. Is it good in terms of longevity? Certainly as a menopausal woman, I'm now 52, we need more protein the older we get, because it's much more difficult to do that whole protein synthesis. It drops as we age. Obviously, the danger of sarcopenia, osteoporosis for women as well, where basically our bone density is getting less and less. So I'm guessing, you know, that protein is important. What are your views when people say, oh, how do I get protein in my diet?
Yeah, I think again, it's such a good question, because there's kind of two sides of this. One side is, well, there's protein in plants. Okay. That is not always the most helpful statement. While it is a true statement, it's not helpful.
Well, which plants?
Exactly. It's like, which plants? How do I do it? Because when I look at most people's plates, regardless of what diet they're on, a lot of them are not eating enough protein. You know, that's and a huge problem is that we've equated a lot in our society and the media with protein equals meat, for example. It's a source of protein. So there's a lot of misconceptions, and a lot of people are not getting enough of it. So some people try and go more plant-based. They try and ask for help with protein. And I've seen people on social media forums going, all plants have protein. Okay, we need to look at the ones that have a lot more protein, that you can actually, on your kind of more balanced plate, use as an actual protein source, for example. So, right, edamame beans, tofu, tempeh, beans, nuts, I wouldn't say use as the protein source. They have a lot of protein in, but they use them as a whole fat source, but they still have that, you know, they still have protein in. No plant is an incomplete protein. That was also a myth that was in vogue, that you need to pair foods to get complete protein. The only incomplete protein is gelatin, which comes from an animal. So you're going to get all the essential amino acids that you need from plants, but you do have to go, what are the biggest sources of protein? And you do need to make sure you've got those on your plate. You can't just go, I'm going to eat plants and expect for all your nutritional needs to be met. And this is where the whole nutrition education comes from, that so many people, again, regardless of their diet, will say, I don't know why, I don't know, putting on weight, etc., etc. And you look at what's on their plate and it's, you know, too much fried food, too much white pasta. Pasta's still great, I don't, you know, but there's too much of certain things. And again, it's this nutritional balance problem that loads of people don't understand what to do. So you can get, I mean, there's loads of athletes, for example, who are completely plant-based. Djokovic, for example, the Williams sisters, etc. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger is promoting a plant-based diet now because of the benefits that you can get in terms of performance, but also because you absolutely can get enough protein. But you, of course, need to think about it properly. It's not just an automatic. And that's where you do get people going, well, I tried a plant-based diet and I nearly died. And I'm like, I'd love to see what you're actually eating.
It's just a bowl of pasta and that was it.
Exactly. And I'm like, yeah, no wonder I'd be hungry. People go, I was constantly hungry. Look at what they're eating. And I'm like, yeah, I'd be starving. You know, so there is, again, a lot of it comes down to, if we had a bit more information and people were taught more of this, they could make more sensible decisions built around them. And they could say, well, I know this food is a bit more processed. I'm not going to necessarily not have it, but I'll have less of it. I know that this isn't so good. I'll have less. Oh, I need to know need to have more of X, Y, Z. I'll do that. And I just think that is not common knowledge.